Alright, well, I guess I'll get started here. Hello to anyone watching live, anybody who's watching the replay afterwards. Welcome. I've never really done an evening nighttime stream before, maybe one other time, but usually I don't, and I almost never stream on the weekends, but I have about an hour and a half that I have free time tonight, so let's see how long it goes. Last time I tried streaming, which was, I believe, 2 days ago, I was having some weird internet problems, so I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue now. If it is, then depending on the severity of it, I'll just have to deal with it as it happens, but it seems like it's okay right now. Retro Bro 11, how are you? But yeah, so today actually I've been doing some work. I've actually been spent some time earlier today doing stuff, and it has to do with the exterior, but not the area that I've been working on the past about the past week, which is back here. It's actually with the main factory itself. There were some areas that I just have grown unhappy with, and I want to redo them. So there are 4 main things that I want to change. And I've gotten about 2 of them done already, so I'll explain what that is. The first has to do with these pillars on the front here. This is Java edition, version 1.20.1. So yeah, the first thing I did was with these pillars here. They're very similar to the ones on the front gate. In fact, they used to be actually identical, but the ones that are on the actual front of the factory are supposed to be a little bit larger than the ones on the gate here. And there wasn't really a way for me to make these smaller unless I wanted to rebuild the entire gate. But because this has an animation attached to it, that would require my friend Fogarty Fox to redo a bunch of data pack stuff, so I didn't want to do that. So I had to keep most of the gate the same, so I had to keep these the same. So that left me with the ones in the factory itself. And the ones on my factory were actually a little bit undersized, so it's actually okay that I ended up making these a little bit bigger. Before, they were the same size as these. Now I think I made them 4 blocks wider total. In addition to that, there also should be some very light striping only on the pillars. It doesn't go across the rest of the building. It's only on these little pillars here. And this is something I always knew, but I just never really thought the feature was prominent enough to warrant me adding in that color. But I decided to give it a shot, and so far I'm liking it. I might change my mind and end up getting rid of the dark stripes, but right now I like how it looks. Yeah, literally, I share that thought. It was as soon as Deep Slate was added, I was like, "Oh, this is a perfect color palette to build a factory out of." So, I felt the same. But yeah, so this was the first thing I did, and also the smallest. So I did that earlier. The second thing might not be as noticeable unless you see these big holes on the side here. With this part of the factory, it might not look like it, but I basically deleted it and rebuilt the whole thing. So I actually have a picture for reference that should be showing up. Maybe. Yes, okay. So the picture you see there is one of the model set pictures, and I use that for reference for a lot of things. So you can see basically the whole factory in that shot. But I was focusing on this part. I like to think of it as like a face. It looks like it has eyes and then a mouth right here. My original design had several problems, none that would really ever stick out to somebody unless they really knew what they were looking at with the factory here. The first thing was that these stairs going up the side were not steep enough. I changed them to have an alternating pattern of a stair, a block, a stair, a block to make it steeper. Before, it used to just be stairs, so instead of it being this steep, it was more of like a 45-degree angle that went up this way, which it wasn't steep enough. So I changed that. The next thing was that I'll pull this back up. The lower part especially was actually a little bit too wide on my original version. So the easiest way to fix that was honestly just to basically rebuild the entire thing. So I ended up making it about 4 blocks narrower, and I made it a few blocks taller as well to help with the proportions a little bit, because if you make something narrower, an easier way to make it to look even more narrow, aside from just narrowing it itself, which I didn't really want to do, is to make it taller. So the taller you make it, it'll naturally start to look skinnier, depending on how tall you make it. So I did that. With these smaller ones up here, I ended up narrowing these, or I shouldn't really be saying narrowing. The diameter of the cylinder here, I ended up making smaller by 2 blocks. So they used to be 2 blocks wider each. Now they look a little bit better. They're a little bit skinnier. I didn't change anything with the height. I also did not change anything with the smokestacks. These are from the original version. The last thing I did was added in these slabs that go across. Once again, if you look at the picture, it's probably hard to see, but the design is made up of small window panes, and then sort of prominently there are 3 horizontal stripes that kind of break up the window, and I thought it was prominent enough that it was worth modeling that, so I did that as well. Yeah, I actually wish I was RetroBro able to use a more recent version. The only reason I can't is because this world relies on a mod that hasn't been updated since 1.20.2, so I'm not able to go to 1.21 yet. If that mod ever gets updated, it actually was updated a week ago, but only to 1.20.2. So if they ever update it to 1.21, this map will be updated to 1.21. But right now it's stuck on 1.20.1. Okay, other things I did. The last big thing that needed done, I never had these sunken in details on the front of mine. In fact, I actually have over here, this is where I was working on the new ones. My original one is right here, so you can kind of see a comparison. I didn't have the details that go around the cylinder, and I also did not have the little protruding bit on the bottom here. So if you can keep like a mental image of that and compare it with the new one that I just copy and pasted over here, it has these sunken in bits that I used a slightly darker color. I used deep slate tiles because they're darker, so that helps with the illusion that there should be a shadow there. I don't normally like doing that kind of thing on this build. I think that's a great technique for building, but not for this build. So I don't usually like texturing the factory, but I felt like this was a necessary area to do that. So that's basically the only area, other than these stripes, that I used a different color block. Oh, is that cool? Are you making your own version? That's awesome. I always encourage more people to make their own factory. In fact, usually like once a week, I always do Google searches and stuff to see if there's any new videos or posts anywhere about a new factory. But you don't have to really worry about the scale, to be honest. As long as if you picked a scale that's smaller than this, for example, as long as you keep it consistent for the entire build, it'll still look good. There are versions that are smaller than mine, and there are also, I've come across several versions that are a much larger scale than mine. So like, for example, this thing right here that's like, I think 11 blocks wide. On their version, it was like 21 blocks wide. So as long as you just keep it consistent, it'll look good even if it's smaller. My older versions of this build from years ago, I actually just came across an old video that I took on my phone from 2020 of a different version of this. I used a much smaller scale. The whole thing was a lot smaller. When is the map dropping? That's sort of the $1,000,000 question that I unfortunately never really have an answer to. I keep giving myself a goal and it always gets pushed back, but I'm really trying. I know this is going to still sound like it's a long ways away, but I'm really trying to have this downloadable hopefully by like February of 2025. The main reason is because by then this version of Minecraft will be even more outdated, and I don't want to force people to have to go on a version of Minecraft that is even older than it is now to play it. But the main determining factor that will decide when the download is out is when I feel like I've built enough of it for it to be worthy of a release, because I don't want it to just be another replica of the movie where you go to the locations in the movie and that's it. I want to have enough of the other areas that were never seen before built before it gets released. And right now I'd like to say that I am more than halfway to that goal. I'd like to say I'm at like 60% of that goal. So yeah, we'll just have to see though, because I'm only going to release it once I feel like it's good enough, and right now it's not. There's a lot of projects that are like halfway done on it right now, and then I have a whole list of stuff that I still want to do that I haven't even started yet, so we'll see. Even if it's not February, I really just want to try to get it done before summer 2025, because summer is when everything kind of like really slows down for stuff like this, because the weather's nicer, so people are usually not playing video games. So I want it to be released not in the summertime. So hopefully before that. Oh yeah, the train is a very interesting thing. I wish it was shown more in the movie, but it's there. It's just hard to see. Okay, so I got sidetracked. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so the four things that I want to change. So finish this, almost finished this. I have to clean up these open holes real quick. And then the next thing I want to change are these things right here with the like kind of like a right triangle shape, I guess, if you want to think of it like that. Similarly to this should be a little bit steeper to allow more room for this thing to be a little bit more prominent. So really, this, instead of coming down here and ending against this piece, it should really end almost flush to this corner. So this needs to be almost twice as steep as it is now. Maybe not totally as steep if you look at the picture, but a good bit steeper than it is right now. So I'm going to mess around with that a little bit. That's what I plan to do on this stream. I don't know if I'll finish it. I have to sign off by like 10 o'clock, 10:10 today. And then the last thing I want to do is rebuilding these things right here. Again, if you compare it to the picture, my version isn't too bad, but it could be better. So I'm gonna spend some time, not tonight, like I did with this, just kind of rebuilding a new one over there, and then I'll just copy and paste it. Do I use World Edit or any other program? Yes, I use World Edit. I use that for a lot of things like walls. But then I also use Axiom. As you can see right here. I need to update it. But I use Axiom for a lot of copy and paste things like smokestacks. But mainly for terrain. So like Fudge Mountain, for example. I don't think I've shown it in any of my videos, but my videos showing Fudge Mountain, I've completely deleted it and I rebuilt it from scratch, and it looks much better now with the terrain tools with Axiom instead of doing it by hand. So terrain is good for this. Okay, but anyway, what I want to do, I'm not going to worry about doing the snow today because that takes a while and it's not fun to watch on camera. So you can see here inside the factory, most of it is underground. But alright, first thing I need to do is I'm going to use World Edit for this. I just find World Edit's easier to use if you're just doing flat surfaces. So and we'll just pick this. Whoops. And then that'll fix that up. Let me see. So this part, I don't really need to do this right now because this will all get covered up with this new glass piece. So I don't need to worry about that. I am going to just put the roof in here. Actually, I should have. Let me do it from here. And now I can just... Whoops. Okay. In fact, let me think here. I don't need to make this any, like, wider this way, but I think it'd be easier if I just leave this alone, so... Hey Dog Toy, how you doing? All this inside the factory, no. A lot of it sort of is, but most of it is just dug out underground, so you can see here. So like if I go through here, like I'm just above ground right now, so like we're not technically inside the factory, but underneath is where I keep a lot of the stuff. The only thing that is fully enclosed within the factory walls itself is the shrinking corridor, which is right here, and then the chocolate room, which is behind that wall. Everything else is underground in some capacity. Okay. So I am, it's gonna pain me to do this because these things were kind of a pain in the butt to make with all the glass. But I'm going to just basically completely delete this one and rebuild it. And then if I like it, I'll rebuild this one. I'm not going to do them both at the same time. And just like that, it's gone. I guess I should get rid of these two. Hey Angela, how you doing? Okay. So first things first, I guess I shouldn't have really deleted the last tower or pillar here because I need to keep this for my height reference. But it's important that the height stays the same because I'm very pleased with the total height of this structure. I just need to change the angle. And there's really no way to just like fix that. It's a lot easier if I just rebuild it. So that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, this probably isn't going to get finished on stream today. So I do have mods. I have 2 building mods, and then I have 1 mod that is for the chocolate water. Yes, I saw your Halloween video. It was pretty cool. Okay, alright, so I know this is going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm going to actually do this one first. So I'm going to keep that one there and get rid of this one for now. And this part, I'll keep that part for now. But I'm gonna, yeah. The lower half can stay, and I'll remove that if I have to. Alright, so make sure that's the same height once again. It is. I see the Dabbing Creeper or Grinch Gaming's making a new Charlie Chocolate Fairy build. Yeah, he's been I've been enjoying watching his new videos and his live stream about it. I always like watching other videos about people building a version of the factory that aren't mine. So it's nice to see that he's working on one, and hopefully it you know, it lasts and it gets complete. Alright, so yeah, you can see I'm going to be doing the same alternating pattern as I was using over here. Yeah, I think he had a modded version that he was working on that he stopped building for whatever reason. I'm guilty of doing that too in the past. This is by far not the first time I've built this thing. Just the furthest along I've ever gotten. Okay, so this is why this is going to be some trial and error. So you can see that is too steep. So that's why you just gotta kind of mess around with it. So I'm just gonna do basically a combination of things. Well, that is not what I meant to do. I meant to do this. Wish you used deep slate for the factory. Yeah, you know, you can use deep slate or stone bricks, really. The stone bricks gives a better, like when the factory first opened, when it was a lighter color. You know, the stone bricks are pretty good for that. So there's really nothing wrong with stone bricks. I just like using deep slates because I like doing the present day look after it's been built for like 20 years, so I like using deep slate. I think it's a better color. Yeah, if a wither storm hit this or like something else destroyed it, I'd probably cry. And I probably wouldn't rebuild it either because I've been working on this map for over a year at this point, and I don't think I want to spend the time building it from scratch again, you know? Luckily, I have many backups of this. If anything were to ever happen, I can just load one of my backups, so. You're wondering how they turned almost black. That's actually pretty common in real life, depending on the building material. Specifically with just concrete. If you build something out of concrete, take a picture of it, and then come back 15, 20 years later and take another picture of it, the concrete just naturally becomes darker. Maybe not quite exaggerated as the picture you see there, where it really got to a dark color. But it definitely just happens. It's just natural weathering from the bricks and the stones, whatnot. So it's definitely possible to happen. I thought it was a very nice detail that the filmmakers did, because they could have very easily just not done that, kept it all one color, like through the entire movie. But it really shows that a lot of time has passed. So I've talked about it a few times, but the reason I like the 2005 movie so much is because I just love the set designs. Because it's the exact type of architecture that I'm interested in. I really like brutalist, industrial looking architecture. That's why I much prefer this to the 1971 movie Factory. So, yeah. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm just continuing to experiment. But how the heck in the intro of the movie was the chimney dark at the beginning, but when the characters were outside the gates, the chimney was a lighter color? Probably just due to lighting, if I were to guess, of the set. When they were outside the gates waiting to go in, you know, it was a very sunny morning, which was a lot different than a gloomy, overcast day during the intro whenever it zooms in on the chimney. Yeah, I saw your set studio video, yeah. I also have some of those pictures saved, so yeah, they're definitely a good resource. I'm pretty sure the first one I ever watched was the 2005 film when you were younger, and you like it a lot more. Yeah, I feel the same way. When the 2005 movie came out, I was 5 years old, almost 6. So that's the one I grew up with. And as a kid, I didn't like the 71 movie at all because I thought it was too slow. I thought it was like, it looked kind of cheap. It didn't have the eye candy that the 2005 movie had, just because it's so much newer. You know, they had a lot more money to make it. But then when I became a little bit older, I learned to appreciate the 70s movie as well. But I will always prefer the 2005 movie. Okay, so I'm having a bit of a conundrum inside my head right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there as a potential, like, okay shape. And then I am, for real this time, going to delete this part because I really want to see how this one comes down and meets up against this part of the building. That's, like, the whole reason for me doing this. And I think what I'm going to do is actually move it back a little bit. I prefer the 2005 Willy Wonka character himself. I prefer Johnny Depp's version over Gene Wilder's just by the slightest amount. Gene Wilder was obviously incredible, but I really do like Johnny Depp's interpretation of it. Alright, okay. Let me think here. I think I'm gonna start it, like, right there. Maybe not, maybe right here. So I'm comparing it to the shot here. I'm trying to get this gap in between the two to be as close as I can to how it looks in the shot. So I'm happy with how that looks. I feel like it's tough to make a movie from a book by Roald Dahl. It'll go into development hell. Yeah. It's kind of a... Honestly, you could kind of consider the 2005 movie being made to be almost a miracle. given the circumstances, and it was in development hell for a good few years. I was less surprised that the most recent Wonka movie came out, just because the rights to Willy Wonka are now owned by Warner Brothers, not the Roald Dahl estate. So they don't have to honor any family members or anything like that like they had to for the 2005 movie. So they can just keep making movies and milking the cow as much as they want since they own the rights to it now. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really like a fan of any of other of his works. I've never read anything or watched any of the other movies based on his books. I know about them, I just have never really gotten into them, so this is certainly his most famous, most well-known property. Keep messing this up. You hope they don't milk it? Yeah, I'm in the same boat, but I'm actually okay if they continue to make maybe another movie or two. I really want them to make a sequel to Wonka, to the 2023 movie, because it's lined up to be a perfect time between him getting the factory and then until the golden ticket day happens. So they could really cover the whole plot of him opening his big factory and having actual humans as the workers, and then they could do the whole like spy thing happening and then him firing everybody. And then that could essentially, you know, lead up to the original 70s movie, because then you pretty much covered the beginning, middle, and end. So I would like to see that movie. I don't know if I'd like to see too much other than that, though. I saw your purple glass ball, or your glass ballroom. You probably know, but that concept art of the glass ballroom is the original concept of the glass elevator ride. So while it's not actually its own room, that was originally how the elevator system in the movie was going to work, which is pretty cool. I like that. I like what they ended up using in the movie more. But I think that was a really cool concept, kind of like blood veins, like going through like the vein system. That would almost be another adaptation. Yeah, I could. I kind of see what you're saying there. Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. I don't really have a problem with that, though, just because I like this movie and I don't think any of the ones coming in the future will become my favorite. I would still like to see it. Selfishly, because if they do another movie, they'd basically have to have a factory in it. And I would like to have a new inspiration to do a recreation of a new factory on that isn't the 2005 or the 71 version. Because, you know, they've been done a lot, so I think it would be cool to see a new version. Now, obviously, it would be really inspired by the 70s movie, because Wonka is unofficially a prequel to the 1971 movie. So it would be very similar, but it would still be new just because of the new technology and bigger budget they would have. So I think it would be cool. The 2023 factory, like from the movie, you know, it's like I have no interest in doing a recreation of it just because it's so small and it's only a single room. It's just basically a square with a chocolate river in the middle of it. It wouldn't be very interesting to make. I would have that thing built in like a single afternoon. It wouldn't be very stimulating. Yeah, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel who that was for, right? That was one of the skits of his show where they were like parodying the Glasgow Wonka experience with the unknown. Yeah, that was funny. Um, People of the 2005 movie who are fans will appreciate it, but I feel like the audience of Jimmy Kimmel is largely older people, like, you know, Gen X, etc., who probably have never seen the 2005 movie, or if they did, they only saw it once and they didn't like it and probably don't remember it. So they probably think he's just like a random person who has no affiliation to Willy Wonka who was doing that skit. So they wouldn't really understand how funny that was, but in reality, you know, obviously he was like actually Charlie in the movie. So they probably don't get the joke as well as, say, us, for example, because we're bigger fans. I'll be back in like 1 minute, guys. Alright, sorry about that. My video is live at night. Yeah, this is like one of the only times I've ever done a live stream at night. I usually don't. Um, I don't usually play games that often or like make videos whenever like I'm not home alone. So right now I'm the only one home, so that's why I'm doing it, just because I can. And I don't know about for everybody else, but my time zone, it's like 9 p.m. right now, 9 o'clock at night. So I don't usually play games or really ever this late, but I figure it's a Saturday night, so why not? I have nothing else to do. You think it was a terrible sequel to the original book? Yeah, I've actually never read it like in its entirety, but I've done a lot of looking into the plot, so I know the entire plot. And it definitely sounds very weird and not really like... It could have been its own property. It didn't even really need to be Charlie or Willy Wonka related. Like, it could have just been its own thing. It was, I mean, in my opinion, it was just done because Roald Dahl hated the 70s movie so much, so he wanted to do something completely different from it and made the book sequel because of that. I don't know if that's true. That's just how I feel, the reason it was made. Definitely will never be made into a movie, though, just because most people don't even know it exists. And most people would not be missing out by not knowing that it exists, so... So another thing that I'm doing is these little like rib design supports that protrude out. That's not technically accurate to the model. But I kind of added them in there just for a little bit of depth because it has something similar. It has something similar on it, like it has a protrusion that runs the entire length here. So I took a little bit of creative liberty and added those in, but I'm leaning towards not including them in this new version, so That's why I'm kind of just covering this whole thing up, not keeping these. So, tech. So I need to have a moment of thinking here. Yeah, like I would prefer this actually to be back on this depth, but it's alright that it's down here. In fact, this probably isn't going to let me easily do this, is it? Yeah, it's not. I would have just moved the whole thing back, but it really doesn't matter. So, it is what it is. Razorholic, hey, how are you? Sorry, one sec, I have to respond to a text message real quick. Alright. Alright, so another thing I want to improve is a little bit is like the window situation I had, so I can make this significantly faster if I just I don't know why I'm dreading doing this, but if it's gonna sound dumb with Axiom, if you want to use the quick like select tool, it has to be like completely disconnected from any other structure, or else it just wants to select the entire thing. So I want to just do that real quick instead of like manually going in and selecting it with like the lasso or the box. So I want to like make this separate here, because I want to copy and paste this entire wall to the other side instead of rebuilding it. And this will actually also allow me to clean this whole area up a little bit, because it's a little bit clunky because nobody would ever see it. So I sort of just threw it together back here to get all the shapes to connect. So yeah. But now, okay, I'm gonna have to do it down here too, actually. I'll just, it's very easy to just go back in and re-add this after it's done. Okay, so I'm gonna do that here too, because this piece I'm gonna delete, but I don't want to yet because I need to use this to line it up with everything else. Alright, now that should be good enough, I think. So yeah. And now, annoyingly though, have to go in and just like add all of this. It's a really useful tool, except when it's not. So I'm just making sure I got it all. Okay. Copy. And I'm gonna keep it the same width here, so that's why I don't want to get rid of this, just so I know my reference. Yeah, this is definitely a large thing. Alright, so it'd be easier here if I actually do it with this wall. Now I have to remember that this is technically floating one block above. Like that. And it's also one block across from this wall right now. Like that. Just so that these are lined up. And now obviously like a lot of this part is going to be hidden under this wall, but it makes building it easier when it comes time to fill all this in. Okay. So because I am once again just filling this space in, that is also right. Last thing is just to make sure that this is the same height, which it is. Alrighty, now I do have other shots of this part, so I need to just cover my screen up real quick so I can pull that picture up. Let's see. Okay. So at this point, I'm not going to add this into OBS because it's like not really worth it, but it gives me a little bit better view of it from this side. So that's what I'm looking at separately right now. Once again, if it wasn't obvious, the part we're building is basically in the middle of that image. It's the little triangle parts right here. Okay, now that that probably seemed like a giant waste of time, but it wasn't. I'm not going to fix this part right now. I'm going to do that at the very end. Just want to get this touching. Yeah, I like Danny Elfman's soundtracks. I do like the music of this movie a lot. Alright, then that's good enough. So now, what I can do is I can essentially just copy and paste a few more of these in the middle here, and then that will be the basic structure. So I just need to see how excuse me, how wide this is, because I don't remember. I built this thing like a year ago. Alright, 28. Let's see, I can split that up. You built your factory in 2020? That's pretty cool. I've had it for quite a while, huh? Well, I can reference the picture here, actually. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like there should be 4 of these in the center, I think. It's kind of hard to tell. It gets cut off a little bit. So that would be every 7 blocks. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, well, that's... Okay, just... I'm actually okay with that just being 3, but I need to move this over just by 1 block. And now it's fine. You're gonna go watch the '05 movie? Enjoy. I don't watch it too often, but every once in a while, if I'll just like throw it on. Because I feel like it's a very underrated just movie. Not even like a Wonka movie. Like, I think it's just a good, easy to watch, rewatchable film. So, because it has good visuals, depending on your taste, of course. If you like the kind of darker aesthetic. It has good music. It has good audio quality. It has good acting. Once again, that's personal taste if you like Johnny Depp's version of the character, but I think it's a good movie to watch. You think you're obsessed with the 2005 movie? Well, you're not alone. I'm sure many people would say that I'm obsessed with it as well. why else would I have, like, over 500 hours spent playing on this map, recreating a factory of it, you know? I know it's probably, well, it probably wouldn't be a hot take to the people watching this live stream, at least. But I know it would be a hot take for the greater Minecraft community. But I do genuinely think this is one of the best recreatable anything of, like, media into this game. Because, like, if you do what I do and you just add your own stuff into it, there's really an infinite possibility of things you could add in here, all into one single build, and that's what I think's so cool about it. Is Danny Elfman's music dark music? I would say people would generally say yes. I say it's very, you know, he does a lot of Tim Burton's movies, which are generally dark movies. Or like Halloween movies, but I don't know if I would call it dark, but it's definitely darker than the 70s music, you know. But no, I wouldn't say it's just outright dark music. I don't think that's true. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with how that looks. We'll pull up the side shot here. Now, if I wanted to be real stickler about it, you know, this one should start like probably like 2 blocks to the right more than it is right now. Maybe just because the whole thing is kind of... It's pretty close. Like, it's close enough that I'm not going to mess with moving it anymore. But it could be a little bit better, probably. But it's still fine. Okay, so before I start filling this in, I want to do this section of it. Okay. And this is like why Axiom is so nice. It's for this kind of thing. You could do this with World Edit, but it would not be as easy. Okay, now I'm gonna use so that should be right, but once again, as always, I want to double check so I don't build the whole thing wrong. Okay, that's good. The opening music for this or the 70s movie? Even though Pure Imagination is a classic, I do prefer the opening title sequence music of the 2005 movie more. I just like, you know, like kind of creepy, whimsical, dark, you know, stuff. Like, I just like the darker tone of this movie, so. Hey, Lorenzo Jacob, how are you doing? Good to see you. That should, I think that's right. Okay, yeah. Sometimes it is a little hard to tell with the interface here, but it's still very useful. People have mocked you for watching the '05 movie. I mean, the way I live my life is I don't really, just do what you like to do. As long as you're not hurting anybody about it, who cares, If we're being objective about it, technically the Willy Wonka IP was made for children, but just because something is intended for kids doesn't mean that adults can't enjoy it. It's just a good movie. Like, it's just a fun watch. Like, that would be like saying somebody is childish for watching like Pixar movies. Most adults I know, at least my age, I'm in my mid-20s, so we kind of grew up with Pixar. We love Pixar. Even though technically those are kids' movies. But, yeah. Screw them. Do what you like, Yeah, this is a mod called Axiom that lets me do that copy and paste stuff. When I was a kid, I would watch it when it came on TV, like on, I don't know what channel. Like, I guess it was probably on ABC when that came on. It'd be played a lot around Halloween, obviously, because candy. But it would also be played around Christmas a lot when I was growing up. And then ever since it's been put on streaming services, Now I just watch it whenever I feel like it. I surprisingly do not own a physical copy of like a Blu-ray or a DVD of it. But I do own the movie on... I bought it on YouTube, actually. It was on Netflix for like a year or two, so I'd always just watch it on Netflix, but then they take it off, and then they put it back on and take it off, so... I was tired of dealing with that, so I just bought the movie on YouTube so I can watch it whenever I want. I won't go anywhere. You're waiting for another live to appear, yeah. Yeah, this is definitely, like I mentioned a few times earlier, this is definitely an exception. I usually don't stream on the weekends or at night, so... But I have the free time, and in fact... there's a possibility I might stream tomorrow afternoon, my time, so that would be like 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might. No promises on that, but there's a good possibility I might be able to do that. Yeah, you're a pretty good singer there in the chat, Angelo. Yeah, that was Danny Elfman's music, and I think it's most people will think it's weird, but I like it. Okay, this is something I actually wanted to make sure I did for this version. I almost forgot. I'd never liked how the top of mine came into like an unnatural, like flat point instead of just a normal point. So I actually want to make this one block narrower so it actually just comes to a stop up here. I guess this one doesn't need to be here. My Charlie and the Chocolate Factory 05 movie is not working because it's not loading and it loads forever, so I can't watch it. Do you have it on like Blu-ray or DVD or something? Or do you mean like a streaming? Like, that was the problem with DVDs. I mean, DVDs are what was like the media of popularity when I was a kid. So I have a lot of stories of being disappointed when one of my DVDs was scratched and it no longer would work. It's very sad. But crap. What I wish they would do is release a 4K Blu-ray version of this. It was rumored they were going to do that. They never did, to my knowledge. But of course, they did for the 71 movie because Warner Brothers likes to pretend this movie doesn't exist. They only want to focus on the 70s version, which is why the Wonka movie is a 70s movie prequel instead of an 05 movie prequel, because when this movie came out and when all the people who just loved the 70s movie couldn't accept that a new version existed, you know, they want to further themselves from it and just make movies based on the one that everybody loves so much. Even though in recent years, you know, my generation, Gen Z, we're all in our like early to mid 20s at this point, at least the older part of Gen Z. So this is the movie we grew up with, and now all of us are like going online being like, yeah, this is actually the version I prefer. This is actually the one that I grew up with. And since we're the younger demographic, you think they would cater to us because, you know, people my age in their mid-20s, when they have their own kids, they're going to show them the 05 version because that's the one they like more instead of the 70s version. So, it probably sounds like I'm bitter about that, but I never liked how Warner Brothers tried to act like this movie just doesn't exist. You know, basically ever since after this thing was released, even though it made them a lot of money. You have a mod that is a wand and has a lot of ands, for example, 1 delete blocks and help me a lot. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is probably World Edit, and that's what I'm using right now. You feel like Warner Brothers forgets about the 05 movie. You're 19, came out the year you were born. Yeah, well, you chose a good year to be born. 05, a legendary year of this. Hey, well, I mean, if you're, you know, it's alright if you're younger, you know, you can, this will probably still be the movie that you grew up with, you know, by the time that happens, so. That's why I think Warner Brothers should be, in my opinion, should pretend this movie exists a little bit more than it does. I'm trying to think how old I was when I had YouTube for the first time. I used it consistently. I was probably older than that. I was probably like 10, 11. But that was also years ago, so YouTube wasn't really anywhere as large as it is now. It was not part of pop culture like it is these days. Yeah, Angelo, that was something cool that I learned a few months ago. That originally he was supposed to, when he gets into the candy boat, to start licking it, but they cut it. There's actually one scene, if you look really close in the background, you can see him still doing it that they left in the movie, that the editors probably just thought nobody would notice. So it's kind of funny. So something that I've never really been able to tell, it's hard to tell. So I don't really know if these sections here are actually glass. On the model, it looks like it's actually not, but it's covered with snow, and I think it's a little bit more interesting if it is glass, so I'm probably gonna use glass again. But I'm gonna think, actually, I'm I want to think about how I want this grid to be spaced out. I don't even know if I wish I had 1 million subscribers, to be honest. It would be too much pressure to keep doing stuff. Whenever you're a small YouTube channel, you can just do whatever you want when you feel like it, because you don't care about analytics or views or sub counts or any of that. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it every other block, like not stair, every other block section is where I'm going to divide this up. I think that's about as close to I could get it to how it looks in the movie. I know I'm going to mess this up at one point. Alright, so that's what I was afraid of. If I did every third one, would that mess it up? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay. I'm just gonna live with this one being a little bit smaller. It's fine. Like, no one's really ever gonna... The way I think about building this thing is, like, stuff like this, no one's ever gonna be up here to look at it. I mean, sure, people could download it and put it in creative, and then they can look around at everything, I suppose, but... why is this messed up? Oh, that's right. But I don't really care if, like, little stuff is wrong. I appreciate the kind words, and yeah, like you agree, just making them for fun. It's just more fun that way. And there's nothing wrong, you know, with wanting to be more recognized for the stuff you make. Like, obviously, like, yeah, maybe I don't want 1 million subscribers, but I wouldn't say no to, like, even more people knowing about what I'm doing here, but... I had, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. So, a separate interest of mine, I had an older YouTube channel from a few years ago. It was on a completely different thing. It wasn't about gaming or Willy Wonka. But over the course of, like, I don't know, 1.5 years of semi-frequent uploading, like... maybe 1 or 2 videos a month, which isn't that frequent for YouTube terms. I got up to like 1,600 subscribers, which isn't a lot, but for a small channel, for someone who doesn't really care about the YouTube side of things, they're just kind of recording what they're doing. You know, it was pretty cool getting that many. And then, it was just cool that people were interested in what you're doing. It's a cool feeling. Electric inventory map? I'm not sure what that is. Oh, Eclectic Inventor. Yeah. When his video came out, I downloaded his world. I have, I think, all of the, like, well-known factories that have a download available. I think I have them downloaded. Early on, when I was starting this build, I used it as inspiration, but I'm gonna be honest, I, like, don't do that anymore. I preferred coming up with it, like, myself. If you want to learn how to download a map, just Google how to download a Minecraft map. It'll be a pretty easy to understand tutorial out there. If you're on Windows, that is. It's easy on a Mac as well, but not... I'm just more used to Windows, you know. Okay. Alright, so this is going to take a little bit of getting used to because I was so used to my old design that was technically wrong that it's like weird seeing this one. But what will help is me putting in that giant glass piece that connects to it. Will fill up this space, so it'll look a lot cooler. Like, this won't be empty. I don't know if I'm going to get to that today, because it's going to be a little tricky. Yeah, I get asked quite a lot about this map being available for console or mobile, like for Bedrock Edition, obviously. And I feel bad, but there actually just is no way for me to make it compatible with Bedrock. Where did I get the images? So go on Google and search Charlie and the Chocolate Factory set model, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory miniature model, and there'll be some of the first results that come up. Do I prefer the Oompa Loompa music from the 70s or the 05? I prefer the 05 Oompa Loompa music by far. I'm not really a fan of the 70s Oompa Loompa songs. Alright, so I'm thinking of actually just... I don't want these gaps to be inconsistent, especially here, because this one will actually be visible. So I think I'm just going to do these on every single block in this pattern here. The 70s songs suck. Yeah, the Oompa Loompa ones, I'm not going to argue with you there, but like, Pure Imagination is like a certified classic. Like, honestly, like, it goes fucking hard, even though it's like a classical song. Like, so like, I can always go for some Pure Imagination. Oh yeah, I guess I should do this too. Even some of the like remixes, like the lo-fi or like the acoustic remixes, like they're just like very nice to listen to. Like if I'm well, I'm not in school anymore, but when I was in college, if I had to like grind out like a essay, sometimes I would like put one of those like lo-fi versions on like loop on YouTube and just like use that as background music. I'm 25, which is why the 99 is in my name. That's the year I was born. I'm probably one of the older people in the Minecraft Wonka community. I know, well, Eclectic Inventor and Wikimart, I'm assuming, are probably pretty close to my age. I know Eclectic Inventor is. So yeah, when I say I grew up with this movie, like I literally did. I was 5 years old when it came out. I went to the movie theater and watched it like 2 or 3 times with my family. So this is like genuine childhood for me. Yeah, this is just gonna look weird until I have this part in here. Alright. Let me think how... I probably should have done this before I put all those damn blocks in there. Because now this is going to be a little bit... Actually, I think this will look fine. This is similar to how my old one was as well. It kind of had a little bit of a... You know, it doesn't line up perfectly just because of the way this is shaped, but I don't care. I am going to turn the block noises down, though. I hate the sound of breaking glass in this game. That's better. Okay, yeah. I know that I'm probably gonna mess this up multiple times, because whenever I build really repetitive things like this, I don't really think about what I'm doing after a while. I just keep doing it. I'm debating in my head if this would be more efficient if I just copy and pasted these, but oh, I know what I can. I'll do one whole strip of these, and I can copy and paste it to all the other ones, and that'll save a lot of time. If you guys want to see another really good recreation, I actually just stumbled across this. I think I actually saw this guy's build a few months ago, but I didn't really have much memory of it. But then the other person who helped me with the special effects on this map, he sent me a link to it today. It's on Reddit. If you Google, like... I don't really feel like tabbing out to put a link in the chat right now. But if you Google, I built Willy Wonka's chocolate factory from the 2005 film in Minecraft, Reddit, it's a Reddit post. That person has an unreal factory. It only is built up to the chocolate room. But, like, I'm gonna be honest, his, like, factory exterior, like, it's better than mine. Like, I like to think mine's good enough to say it doesn't blow mine out of the water, but, like, man, they built a good frickin' factory. I just realized I didn't need to do that. Their chocolate room is pretty good, too. What really helped their build is they chose a larger scale than I did. So, like, say this thing, like the entrance lobby, I think mine's like 25 blocks wide. Theirs is like 40 blocks wide. And because of that, they were able to make everything else bigger, which lets you put more detail in it. And, like, I was very impressed. I mean, I was so, like, I'm so impressed by it that it makes me want to go back and, like, fix some of the things in my chocolate room that I've always known are technically kind of wrong, but I always just thought it was good enough that I didn't feel like going back and fixing it. But, like, it was so good that I'm like, wow, I really need to, like, step up my game a little bit with the chocolate room especially. Right now there is not a download of the map. The goal is that eventually there will be, but it's not going to be anytime soon. I'm hoping for some point next year. My unofficial goal, which will probably change as it always has, is I would like it to be done by February of 2025 for a world download. But that just depends how fast I'm able to build things, which means how much spare time do I have. So yeah, there is not a download out right now, but there will be. And as a supplement to that, that's part of the reason why I make the YouTube videos, is I don't want to sound full of myself by saying it's a holdover until the map is ready, but it provides at least some content about the map while everything is in the construction phase. So yeah. It's delayed because of work. Yeah, I feel that. I'm going to be starting a new job soon. So I'm not going to have quite as much time as I do now. I'll still have time. Like, I'll still have weekends. Obviously. But yeah, I'll be able to still get some work done on it. I can definitely relate to the running out of ideas part. I thought I was at that stage, but I actually have been lucky enough that ideas have been recommended to me, like through YouTube comments or through like my friend Fogarty Fox, who works with me on the map for the special effects. He has some good ideas, and he doesn't do really any of the building. That's still essentially all 100% me. He helped me on one room, which is a secret, which I can't talk about. But I do all the building still, but he has some good ideas. So I have a list of stuff that I want to add. His big idea for me to make is its own hallway dedicated just for Wonka's hypothetical his clothes. So it'll be a room that makes his different color hats and coats. And then one other room will just be for storage, so a big closet, and that kind of thing. The 3 giant chimneys on the left is closed. Oh, these things. Yeah. This is something most people actually probably don't realize. These are closed off on the top, so they aren't really chimneys. They're something else. I don't know what they are, but yeah, they're not open at the top. Mine used to be open until I think it was 3 weeks ago that I eventually covered mine up, so yeah, but they're supposed to be covered. I don't think I have a picture queued up in my OBS that would allow me to show that right now, but there is a few scenes, or there are a few scenes in the movie that show them that have a cover on top because there's snow sitting on top of it. Yeah, cooling tower, that's what I'm thinking. Gotta add his barbershop. I actually do have the barbershop in the factory. However, when I made some modifications to my chocolate room, essentially my entire chocolate room, I moved it forward by 40 blocks. And because of a lot of other ways that I have my whole factory built, it actually covered, and it basically deleted the space I had the barbershop built. So I have to rebuild it. But it was built at one point, even though it doesn't exist right now, so I just gotta re-add it. Alright, so I'm becoming quite happy with how this looks. I said I probably wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm going to anyway. Obviously the factory is no stranger to flat walls, but this is just a little bit too much flat wall. in conjunction with this, because this has to be flat, because that's how it is in the movie. But I think I'm going to add a little bit of detail here. So on my original version, I had these things that ran down the side like this. This time though, let me think how I want to do this. I would consider indenting them instead. So, like that. But I think that's actually a little bit too obvious, so I think I'm going to do what I originally did. This just needs a little bit more... I think it needs a little bit more detail. But while I think about that, I can add in the windows on the back. Now let me see. I don't think... Okay, that actually does show it. So real quick, let me switch out the pictures that I have actually on the side of my monitor. Okay, now you should be seeing the picture as well. It's hard to see it, but there's basically the same thing as this, but it's on the back here. So that's what I'm gonna do. And let me think. The way I'm gonna do that is, yeah, I'm gonna add this on the exterior. I really wasn't unhappy with how like all these windows and stuff turned out. It was just the angle of these triangles wasn't steep enough on mine, so that's the reason why I'm doing this. So I guess really if I wanted to, I didn't really have to delete these back sections, but I did, so I have to deal with it, rebuild it. And I also have to do them on the edge. And at the top, I'm probably... Okay. Now I remembered why in my old version I didn't do it that way. I thought I was going to be able to pull it off, but I can't. Because if I did that, that would make the top of this technically too flat. So probably what I'm going to do instead is just do that. See, this is why it's going to take the world download so long to go out, because it takes me a long time to build. For that reason, because now I realize I probably could have done it that way if I really wanted to. But then this would be 4 blocks, which I don't like, and then I feel like if I just had a block up there, it's gonna look weird, maybe. Let me, once again, trial and error is how I do things. See, I don't know if I like that. I could maybe do that. Yeah, well... No, I think I'm just gonna do it flat. Okay. Now this will be a time where world edit is useful. Is there a reason this is like that? Oh, okay. I can just delete this. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it that way, and then I will add in the little supports to break that up after I get the glass in. Alright. Okay, now I need to add in the cross beams. So it's gonna be annoying. I'm just gonna do some quick math here. So 144 to 112. Okay. 44. So 30. 32 blocks? Yeah, 32 blocks. How do I want to divide that up? I'm using my calculator app real quick because I just want to see. I don't want to have. Well, I guess 8. 8 divided by, so 8 times 4, 32. 4, that's not going to be enough. I'm basically just thinking out loud right now. You can kind of just ignore me this moment. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Once again, 3 is the number that I would like to use. Let me think about it. I could do like every 5th block. just gonna do what I originally had. Oops. Let me see how this looks actually. If I just move these all up by 1, I think that'll be fine. 5. Yeah. Alright, that'll work. Four days without school. That's cool. Yeah, when I was in school, we always look forward to long weekends. Alright, I'm happy enough with that. Now I'll do the same thing here. This one will go faster because there's, well, less distance to worry about. Oops. You know, watch my vids. I appreciate it. I'd recommend watching the commentary videos. They're kind of old and outdated at this point. But those videos have the most substance of anything on my channel. Alright, that worked out pretty well, actually. So, basically, saw the Jelly Beanstalk's room one. Yeah, that's, those, showcase videos. My idea behind those were that they would be short videos that very quickly talked about the general basics of a room. So I aim for them to be between like 3 and 6 minutes long, because my other videos, my older ones, the commentary ones, those are more like 20 minutes long, and a very small amount of people actually watch those all the way through. So yeah, you can do whatever, I don't care, you know. Watch the stream, watch the commentary videos, do whatever. The commentary videos are older, so a lot of the stuff you're going to see looks a lot different than it looks now, but they're more long form, in depth about what I was actually thinking behind the design philosophy. The commentary videos are more just quick rapid fire. I've been having a fun time making them because, well, sometimes editing can be annoying. It is fun to edit videos sometimes, and those are very edit intensive. I guess I don't really have to do this by hand for these parts. I can do this. But because they take longer to edit, they take longer to make, so they're not going to be published as often. No commentary on light blocks. I'm not sure what you mean. This is the most... See, I hate this. So yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, that video was made before the light blocks. So, I don't really plan to remake the commentary videos. I have other video ideas for stuff I want to do, but they'll be different a little bit. See, this whole thing is the reason why I really hated how the old design looked, because I always put a backer behind the glass. And I obviously can't do that here because it's, excuse me, it's two pieces of glass is touching, so... It's not really a good way to fix that. Which is why I was considering just not using glass. Alright, so what I might do is no glass for the back. And I'm going to extend this out. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do about that. I'm also gonna have to end the stream a little soon, because I actually have to go pick up somebody. So this is sort of a natural stopping point anyway, because I'm gonna have to really think about how I want to design the back of that to make it look a little bit better. And I've been streaming for about almost 2 hours, so I feel like this will be a good natural stopping point anyway. It's getting a little late too. So I'm going to think about that off camera. I'm going to think about that off camera, come up with a solution, and then potentially stream tomorrow and just pick back up where this is leaving off. So the stream would be sometime around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Binky Walk, don't worry about it. I am planning to stream again tomorrow if you're able to watch. Probably sometime around 5 o'clock tomorrow. And pick up on where I left off today. But I have some other stuff I have to attend to now. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching live. And I hope to see you tomorrow. So thanks for watching, guys.